What's good, everybody? It's me, Richard Donahue, and
Landon Kostusiak
from Turf Talk. Today we'll be interviewing Chase Baker, and we'll be talking about the AFC and NFC championship games and a whole lot more. A couple records have been broken, a lot of new hires, and Bill Belichick got passed up on. So we'll be talking about all of this in this episode, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you pause that?
What's going on, guys? How you guys been?
Good. We've been good. So we can get started. I have a couple questions for you, so we'll just get into it. I want to know, how does the European League of Football differ than the NFL and like the off-season process?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where things are. I think that that's where the growth needs to happen in Europe. Especially just because of the development or in the earlier years. Guys understand how important that off season is in the U.S. And so, they've spent 4 years in high school, 5 years in college. They have some of the best guys training them, and so they understand, how to get bigger, faster, stronger, how to put on that armor for the season, and develop that quick twitch and what's really going to help them, play at a high level. Here we're getting there. I think guys are starting to understand it, but I think there's still, a lack of resources, lack of understanding, and struggle to commit. I wouldn't say commit in terms of them wanting to, but they're not making money like you would as a professional in the U.S. So those would be some of the things we're working on here. But that's kind of what I'd say.
Yeah, does it differ anyway during the season, or is it like kind of the same?
There's similarities. It's just so when I was with the Dragons, right? So we're talking Barcelona Dragons. Dragons did a really good job of being able to, getting in there, practicing 5 times a week, getting more, plenty of sessions on film. So there was a very similar feel in terms of preparation. I'd say it's similar. College, NFL, that preparation, that there was a similar feel to it with the Barcelona. They really put the time and effort, and the organization out there is trying to make it as professional as possible.
All right. I mean, yeah, I always thought that the European League was always really interesting, and even though we're over in the States, I've been watching it a little bit. I've been looking at the records, and I mean, the Dragons. I like the Dragons. I like them and the Monarchs, but I think the Dragons have a pretty good future coming up. So another question I wanted to ask you was, what was it like in college to have such a successful college career, record wise? I think you were 50-3. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, we had a great career out of Boise. I had an awesome time out there, and obviously, all 4 years with Kellen. So we had a great leader on the offensive side with some amazing playmakers, on the offensive side. And then you come back, but our defense was shut down, man. As great as our offense was, I felt like we had a defense that could hang with anybody. As I've gotten older and you look back on it, obviously the players make that thing roll, but it's just impressive the staff that we had. Amazing coaches that understood and kind of set everybody on that same path. And, they really put things together. But I think if you look back on that staff and you just see where they are now, they've all gone on to do amazing things. So it's a testament to the group that we had there. You're looking at guys that are DCs and head coaches for some of the biggest, programs in the nation at college and NFL level. So a pretty amazing staff we had.
Yeah, for sure.
So I saw that you were a three-year starter at Boise, and I was kind of just wondering, what was the draft process like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it was a little different than most people. I kind of understood coming out that I had a lot of injuries. I was injury prone, to put it bluntly.
All right. Well, another thing I was wondering was, when did you kind of like realize in your life that you had a future with football?
I don't know if you ever. It's such a passion. It's something you love to do, you love to play. And then when I got done, I tried to get away from it, but it just kept drawing me back. Whether it was coaching or scouting or being in some kind of the part of the business within the game. And so I just couldn't get away. There's just something about it. It always brings you back, and there's a love for the game. Every time I watch the games, you watch these even the playoffs the other night. You can't help but just love the game, man. I enjoy everything about it.
Yeah, and I think that's like all around the nation. That's how everyone feels about it. So for the young kids, what are like your 3 favorite workouts to do for defensive line? Like going into when you were getting older and like going towards the NFL, and then even when you were like in the CFL, like what were your main workouts?
Oh man, you got a million things that kind of go into what a workout could be, but I would say I love the plyometric stuff, developing that quick twitch, explosive muscle. So being able to really control your body. So anything plyometric, hey, you could, I don't even know the exact term, but, pairing, your squats, your deadlifts with something explosive. And so that was always good to me is that side of things. And then, I was lucky enough for some of my strength coaches to try and kill me with CrossFit style stuff, but that high intensity, kind of replicate what a football game looks like. So high intensity for 30 seconds, take 20 seconds off and back to high intensity. So that CrossFit kind of feel, but not necessarily CrossFit, but you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
keeping that pace. So plyometrics, that, and then when you look into like sprinting and acceleration, but I always appreciated the deceleration of learning how to stop your body just as fast as you can get it to go forward. So allowing you to kind of change direction. So and that's kind of, as I became a coach and I helped out with a lot of, the academy stuff last year of coaching that, those were the 3 things I focused on, honestly, was plyometrics, deceleration, acceleration, and then, replicating a game with how we worked out.
So out of all the places that you've played, so high school, college, the NFL, the CFL, all of them, what was your favorite place to play? Like, what was the best atmosphere?
It's going to be Boise. There's been some, obviously, there's some really cool stadiums I've had the opportunity to play in. But it's Boise. Boise was my favorite environment experience. So nothing but love for when I look back on it, and I think that's the only answer there is for it. Is Boise was awesome.
So speaking of Boise, what was like the college recruitment process like for you?
It was interesting. So I had a great junior year and started getting looked at by a number of colleges, and Boise really early in the process gave me an offer. And ended up playing rugby out here in England and tore my ACL. So never played my senior year, and Boise just stayed with me. And so I had some other schools. My dream school was Cal. I was out there in Northern California, but when I saw Boise's commitment to me and they stuck with me, through honestly something that most coaches and most programs would have just said, all right, on to the next. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. And so, again, testament to how they do things and the loyalty of the program and the guys and the coaches that were out there at the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I saw Boise State during that like stretch of those like 3 to 4 years was like just incredible. They have there's so much talent on those teams. One thing I wanted to say is for like what would be one like thing like piece of advice that you would give the young kids going into football, like commitment or like what would be your advice to them?
Man, what do you mean commitment?
Like commitment, leadership. Like what would be like one phrase that you would what would be one phrase that you would give to the young kids to focus on?
Man, it's just consistency, especially being young. Understanding that it's a very long, drawn out process, and you have to have that long commitment and that long discipline. So helping the guys understand that this isn't going to be a quick thing. You're not going to do this in a month or 6 months or a year or it's a continuous thing. And so as soon as that's kind of achieved and they understand and enjoy the process, it's a much easier process to get where they want to go. So yeah, understanding the commitment it takes and that, just day after day, that continuous commitment.
Stay on the grind.
And no days off. No, you have to have days off, but
So, like in high school or even after football, was there any other sports that you played other than football and rugby, like you said?
So football, rugby. My middle school years were basketball. I love basketball, and then honestly, everything else was kind of, just I love competing in anything. So any game, any sport, I'm gonna be in there. I'm gonna even if I'm not the best immediately, to me it's give me some time and I'll be able to compete with anyone. So that I'm a very competitive person at heart, and it's maybe less so than when I was playing, but there's still that competition in me. So any game that I come across, any sport, I always want to be able to compete and play against anybody in it.
Yeah, I get that. So going off of the ACL tear from during rugby, how did you recover from that? Like, how difficult was it, like mentally and physically?
Yeah, so I had my parents were able to get me in, and I had a great doctor, and so I tore it twice. I tore it the first time, had surgery, and then about 8 months later was trying to come back from it to be able to play part of my senior year and get back in the last few games. And my first day I was cleared for practice, I tore it again. So
that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Terrible.
The second one was much more rough on my mental. Yeah, it was no fun. The first one, it sucked, but the second one was much more mentally challenging. And I think that's pretty consistent for anybody that deals with the injury. But also just understanding it's part of the game, man. The game of football and rugby and any kind of high intensity athletic sport, injuries are going to happen. But yeah, no, my recovery process, I had some great doctors. But the mental part of it was definitely the hardest. And I don't think I did the best job, at the time, but it all worked out, man. I got to Boise and we got back on track. I know Boise recruited me at I was about 250 pounds, and when I showed up, I was close to 300. So I was playing linebacker and running back and all that in high school. Obviously played O-line, D-line as well, but yeah. So when I got there at 300, I think they were a little shocked at how big I was. So they're like, "Yeah, O-line, D-line, your only chances here."
Wow. And one thing I was always like, I was looking at your Wikipedia, and how did you get involved in the academy?
So I think that was just being in Europe. So I spent those couple years out here with the Dragons in Barcelona, and yeah, just being out here and having the experience of Europe. Obviously, the academy is all about developing players and helping them, get to the U.S. and get their scholarships. And so, obviously, most U.S. coaches probably have that, have the ability to help make that happen. But in Europe, it's just a different kind of mindset, a different. You have to come out here and you have to experience it and kind of live it to truly understand it. So I think having that experience of Europe and some of my past stuff, it just gave me a leg up, and I was very grateful for the opportunity to get out here. Excited to be with the academy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for coming out and talking to us. It means a lot. We just started our podcast not too long ago. I think it was about like a month or two.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. It was
But
January.
we've been growing in. Another thing is thanks for coming back. Is I know I interviewed you in 2021, but I think this one was a lot better.
Okay. So I don't know if we're still rocking I'm sure you can edit it, but So I thought you had the podcast. Last time we talked, weren't you on a podcast, or was that just
your own? So that was an old podcast that I used to have. It was my own sports thing, and I was rolling solo, but I kind of growing up, it was like around when I started like working out and getting way more in the sports, so I kind of fell away from that. But now we're going into our junior year this year. So me and Landon decided to bring back the podcast, restart it. We have the whole new channel, and we're starting from scratch pretty much. But this is big. We're really excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, of course. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Shoot, you guys were covering FCF last time. Any updates? What's going on, man?
Wait, what'd you say?
I said last time we talked, I was in the FCF, and we talked a lot about that. And I know you guys were pretty involved and understood what was going on in the league. Have you guys heard much about the league?
I don't even know. Like the fan controlled football league was popping for a while. It was a really fun like league, and they kind of like it hasn't been like the same. They had kind of
I haven't seen like much on it at all, really.
Yeah, I've been trying to look up stuff and like try to follow it, but there really hasn't been too much like activity going on. I don't know if it's like dying out or like there's not a lot of fan activity, but it's kind of taking the seat back behind like the XFL and like all of that stuff.
Yeah,
but
they merged from the UFL.
Yeah. So I don't know, but what was your experience like on that? Like just a real quick brief explanation. Like was it fun? How was it like compared to like other leagues that you've been in?
Oh man, it was definitely fun. I love that startup, building it from the bottom up experience. So it was a really cool opportunity to get out there as they're developing and designing and kind of testing and experimenting with that whole new system. But it was a little different because we were in lockdown, right? We were in the middle of COVID, so we were locked down in that hotel. But no, the guys were great. I still talk to some of the guys pretty frequently. Made some great contacts over there, and overall, good experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I look at your overall career, and it's pretty cool. You've played for a bunch of different teams, and I mean, Boise State. That the stuff that you did in your college career, it's really incredible. But so, who out of all of the players from Boise State, what is like? Do you have any of them that you like consistently talk to still?
Oh man, yeah, I still, it's become less frequent as I get older, unfortunately. But no, I still talk to a lot of those guys, and so all my D linemen, man, and then my roommates specifically, the guys that I roomed with over that time. So Mike, Tyrone, Corey, but I try and. Like I said, I can't even say that because it's probably not true. I need to be better. But I try to reach out and say hi to those guys as much as I can.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate having you on, and well, hopefully we can get together down the line once again.
Man, of course.
Yep. Thank you so much. We'll be in contact soon.
All right, man. Take care, Rich.
All right, you too. Peace.
Later. Bye.
Wow. Powerful stuff.
That was truly an amazing interview with Chase Baker. I mean, if
Chase Baker.
if you're watching this, Chase, we always appreciate having you on. It's always a pleasure, and yeah, hopefully we can get something going on pretty soon. Maybe in the next 6 months, but it's
6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a whole new season in 6 months. It's going to be some pretty interesting stuff going on. Well, checking the coaches. Well, that was fun, but it's time to talk about the championship games. So let's get into the AFC first. It was the least exciting game out of the two.
That game was boring.
I mean, when they first started, I thought it was going to be a shootout originally, but then it just ended up being a snooze fest. What happened? Lamar had a complete he fell apart there. And I mean, if you're Zay Flowers, you just have to you got to hold on to the ball and stop being aggressive. You can't make that stupid decision to taunt. I mean, I get it. It's a soft call.
Let the boys taunt.
Let the boys taunt, but you still can't be doing that, especially in the AFC Championship game. And then you sell the team by fumbling. So I just think if you're Zay Flowers, you need to do some real character development over this offseason.
Well, it's not like so-called character development. I mean, this is really, when did you really see Zay Flowers? I mean, it was kind of just a heat of the moment thing. I mean, you don't know what Snead was saying to him. Snead could have been talking mad smack.
I mean, Snead does do that, but you got to be able to hold your composure.
Hey,
in my opinion,
he's a young guy. He has a future in the league, man.
Yeah, he does.
He's a young guy.
Mahomes does it again. I mean, I'm never betting against Mahomes, even though I'm proud. We'll get there. Another thing is, I won the playoffs. I've officially beaten Landon in our records in the playoffs
because the Lions choked.
The Lions choked, and it was going to be scary for a while. He texted me and he said, "Looks like we're going to have to go into the Super Bowl tied up."
I did not say that.
Well, let's go. I'm pulling it up.
I did not. I said the Lions looking good right now. That's exactly what I said.
All right, we'll talk about the NFC first then.
All right, I'll talk about
because there's really nothing to talk about the AFC. The AFC was
boring.
Very bad.
Hey, we can talk about the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
All right. On the NFC wise, 34-31, the 49ers take down the that's what I said. My pick's looking nasty right now. That's what I said. Jared Goff threw the ball 41 times, completed 25, 273 and a TD. The run game is really where the Lions succeeded. They were running the ball down San Fran's throat. I mean, 15 carries from Montgomery for 93 yards and a touchdown. 12 carries for Gibbs, 45 yards and a touchdown. Jameson Williams got a gadget play for a touchdown, 42 yards. Amon-Ra had a play, only had 2.
Jameson Williams had 2 touchdowns.
Jameson Williams
he had a great game. I've always believed in Jameson Williams, and I love the speedy receivers. I mean, it's just so fun and dynamic to watch. But when you look at Jameson Williams, he's a bigger guy. It's not like he's a Waddle or a Tyreek where you're toned, but you're skinny. Jameson Williams is a good run after catch receiver. He's fast. I think he has a massive future in the NFL. And honestly, we'll get to it later in the year, but I'll be taking him in almost all of my fantasy drafts. So I believe you guys should be doing the same.
Big year for him next year. Sam Laporta once again did his thing on that offense. The receiving wise, Laporta and Amon-Ra, they both had over 80 yards receiving. Amon-Ra had 87. And Laporta, 9 for 97. Pretty nice. But other than that, it was really spread around quite a bit. Josh Reynolds, I wanted to look at how many times he was targeted. I don't know how to look at that. But Josh Reynolds, he had a few crucial drops. Dan Campbell going for it on 4th down.
I don't think it's a Dan Campbell issue.
No, it's definitely not. But the Niners, Purdy and that offense looked dead in the first quarter. It was not good. But Purdy in the second half was nasty. McCaffrey had 20 carries for 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's always a McCaffrey day. Purdy was a nice scrambler. Elijah Mitchell averaged 1.8 yards a carry, but he had a touchdown, so win's a win. Debo and Ayuk, they did their thing, and the defense really, Bosa, 2 sacks. Bosa's a demon. I love Nick Bosa. Ohio State guy. Nick Bosa's great. He's such a good player. Coming off the edge, he's really is fantastic. He could be a guy that he already has a defensive player of the year under his belt. He could win 3.
I mean, it's possible, but I mean, in my opinion, this year it should be a TJ Watt.
Oh, he's not even on there.
I know it should have been a TJ Watt. I mean, it's going to end up being Myles Garrett, which really upsets me.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it really is going to be Myles Garrett. You can't give it to Deron Bland, dude. That guy, he allows like 1,000 yards this year. I don't care. Xavier Howard had 10 picks just because he allowed 700. He didn't get depoy in 2020. That's not happening. I don't care that he had 6 interception or pick sixes, and he had 7 pick sixes. Whatever. He could have had 12 pick sixes, and if he allowed 1,000 yards, I still wouldn't give it to him. Myles Garrett deserves it out of all the people, but honestly, TJ Watt deserves it the most. He had the most sacks in the league, tied for most forced fumbles. He had a pick this year. I feel like he always has a pick.
He does.
I mean,
we need to start getting more like linebackers back in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
The problem is the middle linebacker position, the only way you could get Defensive Player of the Year is if you have like 200 tackles, 5 picks. Like, you have to have a completely savage year. I mean, edge players get it all the time.
The last linebacker to win Defensive Player of the Year was Luke Kuechly back in 18, 17.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen for a while, to be honest.
I mean, who are the top middle linebackers or linebackers in general in the league?
Fred Warner's like the only really good one.
Roquan Smith's up.
Roquan Smith is actually, Roquan Smith is probably the best in the league. I think Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton they're insane. They're game changers.
Kyle Hamilton's a nasty safety.
Kyle Hamilton, I've known that he was going to be crazy ever since I saw his film at Notre Dame. Dude, he literally, he's like a track star. He can run down balls. He has such crazy anticipation. He's just one of those guys that I could think is going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. I mean, as long as injuries don't derail his career or anything happens, I really do think that he's going to be incredible.
I remember in, he was 2022? Yeah, 2022, I remember they had, he was projected top 3 to the Texans.
Yeah, I know, and then
but
they ended up picking Stingley.
Stingley's been good though, but he slid in the draft. I mean, he fell
14.
He's 14 right 14. To the Ravens, where the Vikings could have Hamilton right now. That could be nasty.
I mean, the Vikings could have had a bunch of people. They always sell their draft picks.
Micah Parsons and Max Crosby are also up there.
I mean,
Max Crosby's a sleeper pick.
Max Crosby's not going to win it though. That's the thing. Yeah. Even though he's on there, he won't win it. It could be Micah Parsons. But I really don't think Micah Parsons would get it over TJ Watt or Myles Garrett. I mean,
defense, like a lot. I feel like this is the one that's the most people like struggle to pick is Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean, probably, Will Anderson or Jalen Carter.
Will Anderson, yeah.
I mean, Joey Porter had a great year. You can't deny it. Witherspoon had a great year. But it wasn't the same impact that Jalen Carter and Will Anderson had, and I think Will Anderson's going to win it because Jalen Carter's team fell off towards the end of the year. I mean, Jalen Carter, their run game was awful towards the end of the year. Jalen Carter was definitely the front runner for the first 8 weeks, but Will Anderson really stepped it up going into the playoffs. I mean, he's already at an elite level, and he's only a rookie, so I can see it going to him. In my opinion,
there's a assistant coach of the year.
I think that's a new award because I've never seen that before.
Neither have I, but it's Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, Ton Munkin, Jim Schwartz, and Bobby Schlowick. Probably, honestly, Mike McDonald, probably. Sorry. Mike McDonald, what he did that Ravens defense was disgusting. And he's definitely up there for one of the top head coach candidates. Now that Ben Johnson said that he's staying with the Lions.
Wow.
crazy. Good for that offense. They're a young offense. They'll be up there.
And Travis Kelce broke Jerry Rice's receiving record, so that was another thing. But we will be going. This is going to be the. Oh, okay. He'll add it in. This will be the end of the video. Turf talk.
Not really. But
Yeah. Well, you can just add it in.
yeah.
And then cut this part out.
Yeah.
This will be the end of the video. Turf talk signing out. It is Richard Donahue and
Landon Kostusiak
signing out. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Landon Kostusiak here with Turf Talk. It is Wednesday. We filmed yesterday, but I just had to come on here because there's some stuff that we usually talk about that we forgot to talk about that I thought why not talk about. So obviously the first thing I wanted to talk about was the Sabres. Pretty much, I mean, nothing exciting going on with the Sabres. They're on break right now for the NHL All-Star game that's happening, I think sometime this week. I don't know. But, I mean, the Sabres coming off they're on a 2-game win streak. After they got embarrassed by Anaheim, I was flaming them for it. But on a 2-game win streak against the Kings and the Sharks, which, I mean, the Sharks, they're not very good. But Sabres, I mean, 2-game win streak. Both, they've allowed 5 goals in both these games, which is a bit, but they've scored 10. So 10-5 ratio really isn't, that's great. But other than that, I mean, they have a 7.9% chance at the playoffs, which isn't very good. Last time the Sabres were in the playoffs, Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, was a freshman in high school. So, fun stuff. Tied for the longest active drought in sports, playoff-wise. So that's some pretty cool stuff, but an exciting win from the Buffalo Bandits. My God, that was a good game. They played the Toronto Rock. Undefeated. They were undefeated, and the Bandits really stuck it to them. It was a great game, 16-14 final score. Really was just a great game all around. I mean, there was star power going everywhere. Bandits, they were down. They were down big. Well, no, they weren't down big. Okay. Scoring-wise, the Bandits started the game off 1-0 in the first quarter. It was a slow first quarter. Then they scored 7 in the second. Toronto clapped back with 4, so it was 8-4 going into half for the Toronto Rock to then score 6-1 in the third quarter, where they tied up they actually took the lead 9-10, but the Bandits responded back, scored 7 in the fourth to Toronto's 4. Final score obviously them being 16-14. Just some, players that did great. Chase Frazier, I'm going to show it right here. He had a nasty behind the back shot. 4 goals for him. Chris Boucher on Toronto Rock, he had 4 too. Points-wise, Josh Byrne, he had 7, led the team. Dane Smith led the Bandits with 11 shots on goal. Boucher for the Rock had 15. Dane Smith had a goal. He did have a goal, but I think he had 2, actually. Dane Smith might have had 2 goals. Did he? He might have. I think he did. He either had 1. No, he had 2. He had 2. 1 was assisted by Nanticoke, I think. But it was a really great win for the Bandits to make them 4-3 on the year, I'm pretty sure. So it was a great game. If you guys aren't watching the NLL or the PLL, which isn't on yet, but you guys got to start watching it. Lacrosse is such a fun sport. It's great sport to play, fun sport to watch. It really is just all around. Lacrosse is a great sport that's really expanding in our country, becoming something. Into the NBA. Try not to talk about the Bucks too much, but I'd like to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Head coach Adrian Griffin got fired for Doc Rivers, who made his debut 2 nights ago in a close loss to the Nuggets, where the defense did look better, which has been the Bucks' real big problem this year, was the defense. It didn't look very good, and it looked better, but they came up short against the reigning champs. It really was a tough loss, but it's a long season. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else really going on in the NBA. But in the NFL, obviously this week, tomorrow is there's some skills competitions for the Pro Bowl, and then Sunday is the actual Pro Bowl, which, I mean, it's the Pro Bowl. I mean, I don't mind it. I know Richie likes the Pro Bowl too. It's not bad, really, but a lot of the alternates have came in now as a cause of people their Super Bowl injured, just don't want to. Like, I know now the CJ Stroud's there, Tua's going, which he was there before. Stephon Diggs is going. What's his name? I just forgot his name. Oh, yeah, Gardner Minshew's going. That's fun. That's what makes the Pro Bowl great. Just the most random players go. Because, like, Jalen Hurts is going. What's his name? Baker's going. Very deserved for Baker. And Geno Smith, which I don't know if he had a good year, but Geno Smith's going to the Pro Bowl back-to-back years. But, I'll make a quick pick for the Pro Bowl. I'm going to take the AFC in the Pro Bowl, because there's a lot more talent, in my opinion, in the AFC than there is in the NFC. But that really is all we got for Turf Talk this week. Sorry it was a bit of a shorter episode. The NFL is starting to die down, and this week was kind of just a dry week. Oh, no, but before I end this, actually, coaching-wise, it was a big week for coaches, as a lot of coaches, I think, were hired, or maybe it was just one. I don't know, but the Seahawks hired Mike McDonald to a 6-year deal, the Ravens defensive coordinator. I mean, it's a pretty nice pickup. Bills-wise, the Bills are keeping Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator, and Bobby Babich has been moved up from linebacker coach to the defensive coordinator spot. So that leaves the linebacker coach available and the quarterback coach currently available so far, which I've seen some speculation on Twitter that Bills fans and Bills pages they're liking the looks of Luke Kuechly as the linebacker coach. Has connection with Sean McDermott. He was at Bills training camp, I think, 2 years ago. I don't know why he was there. He was just there. But it would be a pretty nice linebacker coach. And quarterback coach-wise, there's been a lot of different guys people have talked about. I guess the main one I was thinking of was Thad Lewis. He used to play for the Bills. He's the Buccaneers quarterback coach. That'd be pretty nice. But my ideal pick would be Matt Barkley, the old backup quarterback. Who doesn't love Matt Barkley? I mean, he was a guy. But that'd be my pick for quarterback coach if he retires or wants to come be a coach. That'd be nice. Other coaching-wise, the Commanders are the only vacant spot right now for a head coach, which they were one of the first people to fire their head coach. And here they are. They're Ben Johnson. He's staying in Detroit. They lost their main candidate. I know they've been going into Aaron Glenn now, the Lions defensive coordinator. But that really is a tough spot for Washington, as there are a lot of good guys that are on the table are now gone. So Washington's in a bit of a tough spot, which kind of sucks, but that's what happens when you're a poverty team, I guess. The Senior Bowl is coming up. There's been practices. Obviously, a lot of plays have been shown. Roman Wilson, I just forgot his name. But there's been a lot of players that have been shown and been balling out, and should be a fun game to watch. Good to see what prospects will really show themselves before the draft. But, I mean, as I've already said, this is really all we have for Turf Talk this week. Next week is going to be Super Bowl, a bunch of just Super Bowl stuff. Should be a good one. Hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe and like. Do whatever you want to do with the video. But guess that's all we have to say. All right. Peace.